What should we talk about today? What if the Berlin Conference never happened? Think about it. The Africa that was never divided. The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 was a turning point in Africa's history. European powers gathered in Berlin, Germany, neither to discuss trade nor to negotiate with African leaders, but to divide an entire continent amongst themselves. But what if this never happened? What if Africa was never carved up like a cake? What if the continent had been left to determine its own future? In this episode, we'll reimagine a world where Africa remained whole, where its kingdoms and nations evolved on their own terms, without colonial interference. How different would our history be? Before the Berlin Conference, Africa was home to thriving civilizations. Great nations traded, fought, and formed alliances, just like in Europe. But in 1884, European powers met to decide Africa's fate without a single African present. The Berlin Conference led to artificial borders that ignored Africa's ethnic, linguistic, and cultural divisions. This led to conflicts, civil wars, and long-term instability. Without the Berlin Conference, Africa's nations could have developed organically. Borders would have been determined by cultural and historical ties, not by foreign rulers in distant lands. Ladies and gentlemen, if the Berlin Conference never happened, we might have seen a natural evolution of African states into a federation similar to the European Union. Yes. Instead of arbitrary divisions, Africa's empires and nations could have formed stronger agreements, security alliances, and economic unions. This could have resulted in a powerful African Union long before this modern era. Before colonization, Africa had vast trade networks, stretching from Timbuktu to Zanzibar. Without colonial interference, these networks could have expanded into a modern economic system led by yours truly, the African. Look, let's fast forward to today. If the Berlin Conference had never happened, how would modern Africa look? Without artificial borders, Africa might have had fewer ethnic conflicts, stronger economic development, and a more unified global presence. A united Africa could have been a dominant force in world politics today. My fellow Africans, imagine if African nations had been able to develop without colonial disruption. We could have seen indigenous technological advancements, powerful economies, and stronger political institutions much earlier. In an alternate world where Africa was never divided, we might have seen a version of the African Union that functions as a strong political and economic federation, one capable of competing with the world's superpowers. A self-determined Africa could have been an independent leader in technology, innovation, and even space exploration, shaping global policies instead of just reacting to them. History was changed forever by the Berlin Conference. But what if Africa took back its narrative? What if we reimagine our own future? The Berlin Conference changed Africa's history, but it doesn't have to define our future. We must learn from our past and reclaim our identity and shape the Africa that we want to see. What do you think? What do you think Africa would look like today without the Berlin Conference? Share your thoughts and let's start a conversation. May the winds of the African savannah guide you. Awaken.
What if, what if? What if, what if? What if, what if? What if you could hear the sound, let deep in the hearts of our chosen? Would it sound like silence, or the pounding of the tom-tom drums buried in the sand? What if the story was ours to tell, rise where our forefathers fell, the hopes of ancestors seeping through our dreams like a brewing